anyone who might be logging in and following along with these team huddles. Um, again, maybe it's the timing or whatever. I don't know. Not able to get to following live, but maybe it's just the timing of it. Which, if there's a better time, then certainly let me know. I'm pretty flexible right now anyway, so uh, happy to adjust the timings if it fits better with more people's schedule. But this has been a fun exercise for me, just something to look forward to, something to kind of just think about different material, different ideas, and different topics or suggestions to share with everyone. And even after the fact, after it's live and posted, still getting a lot of feedback from everyone. So hopefully it's something that's benefiting to you or maybe some of your teammates, roommates, family members, whatever. But yeah, we'll just kick into it. So today's topic is the mental game, right? High performance habit number 12, right there at the top of the list. And more than typically, the mental game in terms of habits is going to focus around your performance and training routines. But I think, considering our current state of affairs, that the mental game is kind of taking on a whole new look. Right. It's not so much about having the mental game and the mental preparation for performance, but just for the situation that we're in and being able to get through it. I've seen a lot of posts coming out about risk of depression and anxiety, and I know there's a lot of posts going on about suicide and trying to bring awareness to that, and that's all good and well. And I think that's kind of the direction that the mental game needs to go. Is just really, I'm not going to say accepting but at least understand the situation we're in, and figuring out how to put yourself in the best mental state for the situations that we're going to be in. Right. Conversation I had yesterday, and actually this kind of goes along with some theories and some principal ideas that I heard a few years ago in regards to athletes and injury. Is that one of the big risks of telling an athlete, hey, this is going to be a 3-month recovery, this is going to be a 6-week recovery. Well, if for whatever reason that athlete, hits a snag, hits a bump in the road or something like that, and is not able to return to play in that original time and designation, 3 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever it is, now all of a sudden it creates this in some cases maybe impression of failure, right? That I didn't hit the goal that they set, or I'm not where I should have been. And so there's a lot of coaches I know that tend to use more open guidelines in terms of return to play and dates and those types of things. And I think that's kind of how we need to approach this situation. A lot of athletes saying, well, coach, how can I get stronger for the next performance? Well, my first question is, when is the next performance? We don't know when that is. So sitting here and trying to program a workout or a plan to peak or to be ready to go for a certain competition when we don't know what that is, it's kind of false, because physically, if you're building up and building up for a competition, that competition doesn't come. Now you've either got to try and maintain that, or you're going to see a little bit of a dip, which it could have some negative effects on you mentally as well. So I think it's real important that we just kind of reevaluate, kind of the approach to this whole situation, and think about. I got windows popping up all over the place. Sorry. Just think about how we're preparing for this mentally. And one of the biggest things that I've kind of suggested to athletes is, one, make sure that you stick with your routine. I was joking with a friend the other day that, to me, it doesn't have as much of a realistic effect on me, because I work from home. I have a home office, so I'm not affected. I haven't had a change in environment. I'm fortunate to have space here at the house that I can work out. So it's not like I'm dependent on a gym environment and everyone else around me. Um, so so for me, it's been a smoother transition. That being said, I understand that for a lot of folks that are accustomed to going to class, being in a big office, going to a bigger gym and being surrounded by other people, it's a much larger impact. But this is a chance to work on yourself and work on that mental game, right? Create that routine. Maybe it's still working out at the same time, but obviously what you're doing, how you're doing it might change. First thing in the morning, whenever you get up, set a plan, set a schedule, go for a quick 5, 10, 15-minute walk, whatever it is. Walk the dog for 15, 20 minutes just to wake up and enjoy the air, enjoy the moment. And then when you come back, kind of get into your normal routine, right? Whatever it is, fix your coffee, fix your meals, or sorry, fix your breakfast, whatever it is. For me, it's always calling Success Hotline, listening to Dr. Rob Gilbert, um, or jumping into your podcast or something like that. But go ahead and in the same way that you would for your regular routine. Hey, here's my workout block. Um, here's my recovery block. Here's my meal block. Whatever. Still set those times and stick to it. Not to the second, to the minute, but at least try and stay with that routine. Um, Jay Saul, understand. Yeah, no, good stuff. Glad it's helpful and appreciate all your support, Jay. Um, no, you're exactly right. Like I think especially for a lot of high school athletes, right? Who I think I'm going to age myself here, but looking back and we all talk about how short our we we all talk about how short our athletic windows are, and for 16, 17, 18-year-old athletes, they don't realize just how short that window is. And um, so for them it's a much more difficult thing to cope with and to grasp. But uh, I was actually kind of talking to a high school student the other day, and didn't want to sound too assertive, but it was kind of like, hey, this is uh, not. I hate to use the term real world, but this is what it's like. As adults, once our playing careers are done, you don't have a competition, you don't have a season that you're building for. It's just to fathom working out or training for 52 weeks a year and not having any true goal or target. It's hard for someone like that to understand. And um, so yeah, just maybe set different goals because you're not peaking towards a certain competition or a certain date. um, Maybe it's just setting a time on it, right? Just say, hey, for this 30 minutes, for this 25 minutes, whatever it is, I'm just going to move. Whatever it is, I'm going to dance, I'm going to clean the house, sweep the floors, I'm going to walk, do some sort of fun interval, um, take the dog for a walk, and at every mailbox, at every light pole, do something else. Maybe it's just jumping jacks, maybe it's bunny hops, or something that's going to look goofy, right? I mean, yeah, you might look a little goofy, but if you put a smile on your neighbor's face, maybe it makes their day. Maybe you end up on somebody else's story or highlight reel or something like that. Um, but more than anything, just enjoy the gift of movement right now for for whatever it is, because I guarantee this, right? I guarantee this that they're not going to come up. They being the organizations, the government, whoever it is, they're not going to come out on Monday and say, okay, you can play on Saturday. All right, there's going to be a build up period that you're going to have time to say, okay, now I've got 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, whatever it is that you can ramp up. And as long as you're staying active and staying fit, somewhat fit, that ramp up period is going to be a lot easier if you decide to, kind of fall into that mental trap of, hey, this sucks. I can't do anything or whatever. If you want to take that kind of fixed or negative approach, it's going to be a lot harder to come out of that. But even if you're just staying somewhat active, right? And again, just do it more for the sake of enjoyment. Uh, that's going to be better than a lot of folks, right? Now, if you're one of those, if you're like me and you need that structure, if you work better in that formal or kind of rigid routine, then something I suggested is get your calendar and designate each day. Hey, Monday is going to be a resistance day. I'm not going to say strength, but it's resistance, right? Resistance can take a number of different forms, and we can touch on that in a minute. Right? Tuesday is going to be my running day. Wednesday is going to be my recovery day, right? And as I told a group of athletes on Tuesday, recovery is training. All right. So if you're doing a yoga session, a Pilates session, a stretching session, maybe it's just 30 minutes of foam rolling and static stretching, right? That's still a training session, so to speak. Not to mention it's a good mental release as well. So, but go ahead and map it out. At least that way, whenever you get to those certain days, you have an idea, you have a plan of what you're doing, right? Um, and then again, that's still part of the mental game as well, is setting your routines and creating that consistency, right? Um, the other thing is managing your time. Still set your timers. Don't think that, well, I I don't have to commute. I don't have the travel time or anything else, and you gain that back. Don't spend that extra time on social media. Still limit and manage and kind of oversee what or keep close watch on how much time you're spending on those. I guess you'd say auxiliary activities. All right, and then also the meditation, mental imagery. I know in a conversation yesterday with a couple of coaches, that's one of the things that so many athletes are almost intimidated by is they think that meditation is sitting around with your legs crossed humming and that sort of stuff. Yeah, that's one version of it, the same way that Olympic lifting is one version of power training, the same way that free weights is one version of strength training, right? There's different types of methods and approaches that you can take to it, but I think one way to maybe if it makes it easier to swallow, right? Look at meditation and look at the mental imagery as a skill, the same way that passing, for rugby players, passing with your non-dominant hand, kicking with your non-dominant foot, something like that is a skill that you can or it might be helpful to learn. Same thing here. See that mental imagery and meditation as an extra skill that you can learn and focus on right now. Not to mention, now's a great time as well because if you are focusing on a new skill, it's something that's exciting, right? It's something that's creative. It's something that you can work towards. I know for me, and this has been a part of my routine. Oh gosh, too long, 2.5 years now. Every morning, I start the day with a Spanish lesson. So many helpful apps out there, and that's one of the first things I do every day. And for me, it's just a big kind of lift to know that I'm starting the day learning something new, right? Honing in on a new skill that, yeah, it's challenging me, but it's also, I'm hoping one day it'll be helpful. When all this is lifted, I can go and actually put all that Spanish to use, on a nice vacation, nice getaway, or something like that. I don't know, but again, it's something to look forward to. It's something that's keeping me engaged and a good way to start my day. Um, and then some other things too, like one of the teams that I talked to earlier. We talked about three things that you can or should really lock down during this time: your sleep, your hydration, your nutrition. Right, those three things right there are key. And so bringing awareness to that, starting to think about if you're an athlete that or maybe a mom, dad, weekend warrior, whatever, that knows that nutrition is something that you can improve upon, then focus on that. Take it 1 week at a time, right? One skill per week, and say, all right, this week, all I'm going to do is I'm going to keep a journal or keep a page on my notes on my phone. Every time I grab something to eat, I'm just going to make a note of how I feel whenever I'm grabbing that food, right? Maybe your awareness around that time is it's breakfast time and I'm hungry, or maybe it's Maybe it's I was having a coffee, I needed something to go with it, or I was bored. I know one of the things that I've really become aware of personally is I start to lose focus. I'm working on a project for 45 minutes, 60 minutes, and I kind of get over my mental threshold, and then I go and I start kind of scavenging for some sort of food just to keep me busy, right? But because I'm aware of that, now I can be more cognizant of when that happens in the future, and rather than going for food in those moments, I can maybe set a timer, and on the 45-minute mark just get up, take a walk around the house, go pet the dog, let him out, something like that, as opposed to going into the snack cabinet and grabbing something that I know I don't really need, don't really want, or is not going to be beneficial um, to me in the long run or in the long term. So again, all those are things that I know are kind of crossing habits there a little bit and getting into nutrition, but again, those are things that you can do that play into the mental game, give you something else to maybe direct your focus on, and help kind of push through this. Because again, right, uh, we don't know when this is going to end. Quite frankly, I mean, it doesn't really care. I always like to say that you know you always tell your teams, right, regardless of who our opponent is, we know how we're going to play. And so you create the routines and you create your own systems and your own strategies. You adapt it to the landscape or the opponent, right? Right now, our opponent is the self quarantine. Our opponent is not being able to go to the gym. Our opponent is not knowing when we're going to play next, right? So again, right? If we don't know when we're going to play, using that as an example, if we don't know when we're going to play, fair enough, but I'm still going to have the same systems and the same structures that's going to keep me active, keep me eating the right stuff, keep me sleeping the way that I need to, and developing those habits that are going to allow me to perform my best long term. Maybe that performance is getting up and having a rock solid day at work. Maybe that performance is um, taking care of family or taking care of friends. Maybe that performance is, actually getting out and physically training, for whatever the next thing is. But again, performance takes on a wide definition for everyone. Okay, and we're all athletes, if nothing else, of the sport of life. So again, it really comes down to just creating the systems, the structures, and the strategies, and then adapting those to whatever your environment is. Right now, our environment is being quarantined, being distant from each other, um, and create the best routine that you need for that. So going overtime right there. I know we said we are going to keep these to 15 minutes, but again, whether you're watching this live, whether you're watching this after the fact, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe a month later, I hope there's something in there, something in all the rambling that strikes a chord, helps you out. If there's something in there that doesn't make sense, you want to have a deeper conversation about, hey, I got nowhere to go. Hit me up, send me a message, and we'll be more than happy to schedule a call and just chat, right? Whether it's about what you're doing, what you need to do, or just chat. Period. Just shoot the breeze. Again, more than happy to do it. So shout out to Jen. All right. Apologies, I was abbreviating earlier, Jen. But appreciate you jumping on and all your support, and all the hard work that I know you've been putting in over the last, almost year. But keep it up, and yeah, hang in there, and we'll be back. If you have any other tips or ideas or questions for these huddles, DM us, leave a comment, send us an email, universalsportsstrength@gmail.com, and we've got some new stuff coming up here in the next few weeks, trying to add a few more touch points, presentations, and resources. So again, if you're keen for that, on Instagram, go to the profile and sign up for the website, or sign up for the emails. Go out 3 times a week, right? Touch on our 12 high performance habits, as well as a few other tips and strategies that you might find helpful. So again, thanks again for logging in, and we'll see you